Okay, so here's our next question from Janet S. from Ontario. She says, Hi, Martha. I have two students who could easily segment syllables, but now that we're breaking down words into sounds, they always do that. They're always breaking down words into sounds, even when I'm trying to get them to find syllables. Any suggestions? So, my answer to her was, well, that is really common when you're starting to teach them in K and 1 how to break down words into sounds. And this is what I do. I thump syllables and I tap the sounds, and we do not do anything but that. We thump syllables and we tap the sounds. And so when you're into grade 1, like the end of kindergarten, beginning grade 1, and you're teaching them how to find individual sounds, that's the most important part. You really need to focus. Don't worry about syllables at this point. When syllables come back into play is when you're doing multi-syllable words. So it could be a student who's really great at CVC words, and you are needing to do multi-syllable words with them. And I think once they get the hang of individual sounds, and then you start talking about words like rabbit with those students who are ready for multi-syllable, um, writing and tapping and, um, uh, in print, then I think it will be easier, but I wouldn't stress about trying to tap the sounds and then go back to syllables. I would keep those separate. I've heard the research from the National Reading Panel says you want to just focus on one of those skills at a time. And once kindergarten goes and they're 3 and 4 years old and they're hopping through hoops to find the syllables, I don't think we need to go back to that. I think we need to just keep the train moving forward by tapping the sounds, and just the kids who are ready to do multi-syllable words, then you come back to syllables. That's my take on it. How about you?
Well, it's funny that this is the question because I was literally just in the kindergarten classroom between 10:30 and 11:30 this morning, and we were counting syllables. And so the way we count syllables is we use our whole bodies and we jump them when we tap them. We always start with the names of the student. So, short name, Ben, just jump once for Ben. And then, we have longer names like Tabitha, Tabitha. And so they find that fun, and it's gross motor and all that. And then once I've modeled it and we've done it together, and then I've picked a few individual students who can do it independently, and I feel like we're off to the races, then I put out my hopscotch mat, and I have this carpet, this rug that I roll out the red carpet hopscotch, and then the kids can start doing it on their own, hopping the syllables. Usually it's in their names, or because this is French immersion, we always use animal names like lapin or cochon, and then we can build vocabulary too. When it comes to phonemes in words, I have a different strategy. I use an abacus, and I model, and I push the beads across for the different phonemes. So I try to use different strategies for different skill sets. And it's like what you were doing with the tapping, I do it with the abacus. I've got a couple of little friends that have a hard time using their fingers and counting the phonemes, because often kids are told to count the phonemes, but the purpose isn't to know how many phonemes are in the word. It is what are the phonemes. So I'm very careful with how I structure my question. It's not how many phonemes or how many sounds are in the word, because if they say 4, it could be a guess. I want to hear them say lapin, or cat, at. But
And I
sometimes
think
we get
it's our job as teachers to tell them how many sounds are in the word, right? I always put out the right
absolutely,
number of cubes,
yes.
and then you find them.
And so we were using Jenga blocks too. And the other thing I have them do is I have different colored Jenga blocks. I just posted on Twitter, actually. I have different colored Jenga blocks, and I always have the first phoneme green, because green means go. And so as they're counting the phonemes, it also reinforces directionality. So we were just doing the names of students. So Nora, for example, and some students start on the right hand side and they move left. I was like, no, vert, ça veut dire on commence à vert. We start on green, so that I can also reinforce the directionality of left to right.
So
And it's fun.
So
And it's
don't
fun.
you have students who then I think what this teacher, what Janet was saying was she's got kids who are doing the sounds, but now when she asks them to thump out syllables, they can't do it. So I guess our answer in general is you got to use two completely different strategies, keep them separate, and and